Okay. So I'd like to call this meeting of the Richland County Fair Committee to order on Monday, December 1st, 4:30 PM in the Richland County Boardroom. Was there proof of notification?
Yes.
Well, agenda item number 3 is approval of our agenda. We need a motion to approve our 13-point agenda. Motion by Sandy, seconded by Randy Schoonover. Any further discussion on our agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 4, approval of our minutes from the previous meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Got a motion by Gary Deaver to approve our minutes from the last meeting. Is there a second? Seconded by Randy Schoonover. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 5 is public comment. Anyone from the public that wants to comment, or any committee member? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 6 is our financial reports. So we got a packet handed to us here. Is that part of our financial report?
Today we have Leanna here, who is like the expert on the finances, and she's going to help explain it.
Oh, hi, everyone. Leanna Pick, Finance Director. Put together a little bit packet here for you to go over kind of where we've been month to month for 2025, where we are year over year for the last several years in the fair, and then just kind of the fund balance and how all these things kind of fit together. So I'd like to talk about. So I'm going to share my screen and walk you through the packet of things that we have for you. And hopefully my computer will not lock up tonight like it did during the ambulance presentation. So we're gonna keep an eye on it and hope it doesn't. Okay, so the first report you have in your packet is our monthly financial for 2025. So it just shows you month by month, January through November, where we are year to date, our total budget year to date, and then kind of where we are variance wise to that budget. So first thing we can look at here is revenue. So the top section here is the money that we brought in for 2025 through November. You can see we brought in, 18,000 in property taxes, brought in some state aids there. We had 8,000 in donations. We had 14,000, a little over 14,000 in grandstand receipts, some spatial rental for about 4,700 in exhibitor fees, storage fees, about 9,000, and then carnival income at 18,000, and then some other miscellaneous revenue at 10,000. So it's kind of your bigger items there. So for 2025, revenue, you brought in $102,000. Your budget was $126,000, so it means we had a little bit of a shortfall on that top line revenue there of $24,000 roughly. Okay. You kind of seeing all that so far. I know it's very tiny on there. I apologize. Hard to get all that on one page. So, well. And then we get to our expenses, kind of where we have been for our expenses this year. And I'm not going to go through them line by line. Obviously, the bigger ones, the part-time labor at just under 14,000, some temporary labor at 8,000, judges, health insurance benefits, maintenance, big line item there under maintenance, buildings and grounds, which is kind of what you'd expect with the fair. That's, your whole location, 32.8 thousand there in expenses that were paid.
Why was there 11,700 in November? It's a big number.
It's year to date, through November. Oh,
Year to date,
there, yeah, for
32.
the maintenance.
Just in November, there was
Yep.
11,780. Why so much in November?
I'd have to take a look at the actual bills that came into that line item, but I can get that information.
I want to say it was a highway payment. I can't remember what the breakdown was, but it was a long list of breakdowns from a few months worth. that I paid out once.
Yeah.
Public
Usually-
Works, they talked about something, a water line or something at the fairgrounds had an issue. I don't know if that pertains to this, but there's a $17,000 difference compared to what we budgeted compared to what was spent.
Two under
Yeah.
November, you know, they do month to month, they got it broken down, then they've got year to date, but it's a third of the overall.
Yeah.
I mean, we only budgeted 15, we doubled it. I mean, to me, I knew it was gonna be a lot, just depending on how Josh's bills come from highway, you know, if that's Brian's time, and then that story, I mean, I don't know how you interbill, but you know, that's the big thing, how we switched to this model. You know, we used to get away with 5,000 a year with Warren, with Junior. You know, that's
Brock.
skewing, huh?
Jim Brock.
Jim Brock, yeah, that's where it's.
So you're talking ancient there.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, the last three, so that line item is why, that's one of the biggest line items on here.
In terms of expenses, yes, that is one of the biggest ones, which, as in my opinion, I just kind of figured that was part of the nature of, you know, what you're doing there with the fair, you know, having to constantly maintain your buildings and upkeep to your grounds and stuff. And if you do have something major, that maybe we didn't have enough stashed away for a major repair if that were to come up, but we can pull the details on that account.
It'd be interesting to see what the last 8 years were for our maintenance on the grounds and our costs.
Well, I can.
And you don't need to do it today, but why we're at 32,000, we budgeted 17 or 15 and our variance is 17,000.
Yeah. and-
That's like 10,000 over what we budgeted ever.
And we do have a year over year comparison in here for the last 5 years, so I think when we get to that, we'll see some of this trending, whether it's up or down within the expenses and revenue side of it. So yeah, that was the biggest expense really within their over budget.
We got
Entertainment
new
was,
well pumps now, well houses now, which needed to be replaced years ago.
okay,
And the pipes are breaking out there now because they're from the 50s, 60s. I mean,
yeah. Just-
nothing's ever been done with them.
I don't
We've
know,
had those expenses. We've had those stuff before, but it's the, like building those weld houses and stuff like, I don't know if we've ever discussed that to see if that would fit into our budget. I don't know if that was just chosen to be done because we needed to do it and then we just did it. Or maybe could we have waited a year to do it? I don't know.
Well, from what I
There's a lot of questions to consider, I guess.
understand, though, everything was sitting in the mud,
It was.
and that's why they wanted to put those in and put them on a floor instead of in the mud.
Understood?
That should have hit 24's budget, not 25's. That was all done last year. That's not a 25.
Yeah, it was 24.
It was 24, so that has nothing to do with these numbers.
yeah, we'll take a look. We can deep dive into what's gone into there this year, kind of where it came from, and then we can talk about how we go forward, how we plan these things out within our budget too, so that it's not all happening in one year, but you know, it's something we have to start thinking about, not just from the fair perspective, but really from all department perspective, is that, you know, what have we been waiting or holding off on, and how can we build it into, you know, a 3 to 5 year plan, or even 10 years, depending, so. But part of it starts by, let's look at it, let's make discussion, and then we can go from there.
Sounds familiar.
So yeah, overall, your expenses for the year were at 156,000 versus a total budget of 144,000. So 12,000 over, with a lot of it, like you said, coming from that particular maintenance line. And I think I did see a little bit of an overage in entertainment in here somewhere, but
Why is it entertainment? Okay, I'm sorry.
you know,
I thought it was premiums, it's entertainment.
yeah.
24, and it was 31.
Yeah, so it was a little higher than
Yep.
anticipated. I'm not exactly sure if something came in more expensive than what we had thought or originally budgeting that. Alright. So any other questions on this? Is just 2025 activities. So if there's any account you want to see further details on, we can get that information for you, vendor and dollar amount and when it happened. Okay, so
Now, how would this work, like if, guess I'm not a budget person, but if you look at where it says licensing, it says that, year to date, we did $470, but we budgeted 3,000. what if that number was brought down when we initially budgeted? And what other items do we have here that we budgeted maybe over on that we come under, that we like really could have swayed those numbers to look different?
Yeah, in building your budget, you take your best stab at it, right? Looking year over year, I think will help in building this budget going forward. So that being said, like usually how we look at an accounting is overall. So that's why I say overall, our budget is $12,000 overspent in expenses and 23,000 down on revenue. So obviously we're upside down there. We want to see it a little bit closer together. So again, those maintenance fees, good, bad, and different, whether they should have been done this year or not. That's the main kind of culprit for that.
May I say something? The computer maintenance and upgrades, we just got the bill for the, fare entry, and it's $2,500 a year.
Okay.
So that might be, and that hasn't been taken, huh?
You could offer that, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I will also say that I know that in years past, like the licensing, when we originally did the budget for this year, a lot of that had to do with like the computer licensings that we would need and all of that, which we were personally taking charge of that ourselves, but from what we've discussed, I believe MIS is taking care of all that in their budget for next year, so we won't be looking at that again. Same thing goes for like the maintenance line. I know that with that one, we never really had a specific line for like Brian and the highway department, so when we pay it, it comes out of the maintenance line. Next year, we have put that into its own line so that it's more accurate for where the money's going.
Yeah, that will definitely help with tracking. So then, yeah, we just have a summary at the bottom here, your revenue versus your expense and your shortfall. And then kind of the shortfall from budget there. So next thing that I have in there is your balance sheet. The only thing I really am gonna point out on the balance sheet, there's one item at the top that's circled that some cleanup needed from the accounting side for that. So in order to clean that up, it may actually end up being taken out of there and charged off to your budget. So you might see another $2,700 hit within that expense because we prepaid it, but then we have to charge it out to the year once it's been prepaid. So it was prepaid in, I believe, 22, 23, but never got charged off to those particular years in terms of the expense. So we have to clean that up. The other thing you'll notice at the bottom of this statement here, the balance sheet, so you have your equity section. So what you have here is assets are what you own. So you don't really have a ton of assets here to speak of. What you have is a claim on cash, and that works with our cash account in terms of what needs to be funded into this account in order to make it sort of whole. And then you have your liabilities, which is what you owe to people. Again, that's constantly moving. Your accounts payable is constantly changing, as you know, as you enter things. They go into pending and they go into AP, and then they get paid and they clear off. Same thing with wages, payable or accrued, that stuff that the auditors take care of at year end. And then the equity is sort of what's left. You know, what do you have reserved there? So you can see you had 6,700 or so within equity, the sign going the wrong way. So it has been negative for a few years, just again, that kind of upside down between your revenue and your expenses. So when they close out at the end of the year, when we close the books on December 31st, if we were to close today, what would happen is your deficit there of 60,000 would close out to equity, and that deficit would then become that number that you see there, that 59,000 is what the new sort of fund balance will become. And you can see that here, your opening balance. This opening balance on the fund report does not change until year end. When those revenues and those expenses close out, then you will get that ending balance will move over to your beginning balance. Does that make sense? Because it's a constant moving thing, kind of like your checkbook, right? You know, so it's constantly moving with those revenues and expenses.
So 2 questions.
Sure.
Is Fund 33 a separate account, our donation account? 'Cause we had 40-some thousand dollars in donations that we've always kept separate.
In Fund
for-
33.
That's what we always called it.
30, okay. I'll take a look at that one.
You know, there was I had to come in this room and it was gonna at one point be taken away, but county board,
It was gonna be taken away by the county board to go into the general fund to fund other activities.
that is correct, but. then
From
they-
donated dollars that were specifically meant for the fair operation, entertainment.
Yes.
Okay.
And they were gonna
People that
take
don't
it to
get
try to
this
get some
loss.
money elsewhere, so.
And
Yeah.
then the second question is on these sheets going, I mean, we didn't see it as committee. I think it was done, but where did we then come in with budget for 26 off from, we were kind of way off. Is 26 done?
26 budget has been finalized and approved.
Okay.
I can get that for you as well.
I just was curious where we shot for revenues with only coming in at 102,
Mhm.
projected 126. What did we guess for 26? Was it
Mhm.
Was it up or did we go down? And
Could have budgeted for that. I will get that answer for you.
I'm just curious. as long as we're
Look
looking at
at that
numbers.
Over, yes.
Some of that.
I love numbers.
That's why we did it. We figured,
What's that?
wasn't it revenues from gates that we thought would bring in?
I
And
have
then
no idea.
it was decided not to charge. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We should be able to see that in our last thing is really good.
Yeah.
comparisons.
The last, yeah, this one I think is the one that kind of is gonna tell you where you've been and where you wanna be going, right? So we talked about the number of attendees, which you gave me that, and there's a whole weird calculation for that, so we're gonna leave that line where it is until you tell me what that number should be up there. So you can see kind of since 2021 through 2023, about 15,000 in property taxes. For some reason in 2024, that spiked up to 34,000. And then it went back down in 2025 to 18,000.
Could I ask you to repeat that again? Why they doubled?
For some reason, if you look up at, I think if you can see it here on the screen, let me make it a little bigger.
Well,
And on the page too. So that first line there, I can't explain why, but for some reason in the trend, so you can see the 21, 22, and 23, there was 15,000 coming in from the property taxes, and in 24, that went up to 34,000. But then dropped back down in 25 to 18,000, so.
So I didn't agree with what we did, and I'll just speak openly, but you can see our deficit really easy. In 23 and 24, we charged at the gate. It was a pain, but it's $45,000. We only brought in $14,000 for the fair and entertainment. That's why we're off so far.
That's a big part of it, and that's what I really
That's-
wanted, it just stood out like a sore
Absolutely.
thumb, basically, is that, and I think you and I discussed it a little bit, that maybe it's not $10 a person, but maybe it's at least $5, and then you're still charging for your grandstand, So it's some kind of hybrid mix of how you're gonna do this between the taxes, the gate revenue is important. Because again, that gate revenue is gonna help you cover some of that general maintenance too that you're seeing at the fairs. Like, okay, you may not use the carnival, you may not use the grandstand, but again, you're just walking around enjoying the exhibits and, things like that at the fair. There's still a bit of a charge for that. I don't get to go to the zoo for free, so I come to the fair for free. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I do believe a small amount needs to be charged for the gate receipts. And then I think in terms of grandstand, I think that is a good idea, because again, every place that you go, it's a pay to play. If there's something special, I live in Grant County and we pay for our grandstand. We also pay to get into the fair, and we also pay to do our rides. And there were plenty of people there this year, even though it was 90+ degrees outside,
So the one, why we went away from it was because we had so many people coming to us about digging in their pocket more than once. So we come up with that $8. And the other part of it was people that had to work the gate, and that 14,296 being entertainment, we had to pay tax on it.
Okay,
So with the gate, we didn't have to. With entertainment, you did. So that was in the numbers when we crunched them 7, 8 years ago, is why we went to that model. And you can see how that was growing, you know what I mean, pretty good. We were constant at 45,000, which we knew made or break us, right? The weather. Saturday was our big day,
yeah.
and that either made the fair successful or a flood. When you look back to 20 or 19, we had 2 floods in a row. we let people in, and that's probably. why
COVID
those
was
numbers are
20, but then you had a
18,000.
flood, prior to that. We had 2 floods that we dealt with.
That's right. But I mean, that's what to me made it or break it was that gate. And I know that Peg Collin, it was a lot of work to find people to work the gates, but again, it was kind of back to, will Trish allow Scott, he's a county employee, instead of working here today, can I work at the fair? It's a fixed cost, right? The county's got to pay me because I'm salary or whatever, but can I work the gate? And then we make it work that way instead of another model. But to me, it's super important because I think the
You
fair is
don't need to
important.
be there 15 hours either.
No, we need to do like 2 to 8 or something, not 6:30 in the morning when they're feeding their beef, but when people actually start showing up in the rides and.
And we always knew as a county that this was gonna be a deficit regardless. The fair always was, but county government around in general provides services. This is kind of like a service that we're providing to the community, because if you look at a nonprofit organization, how would the $150,000 look to that nonprofit, treating it as a business? Where would they get that money from if we can bring that in with revenue and put that on? We do this for a community thing because we are able to levy a tax to be able to put that. So I understand where we're coming from looking at it at a business standpoint,
Yeah.
but we also provide services here. And the county always used to know that. County board members always used to know that, and so did prior leadership, that this was gonna
So-
cost something. But we also need to be thrifty and not just go out and go spend all our money. We need to keep it within a fine, tight constraint. And we do need to revisit our budget and relook at things and how we're doing stuff.
Mhm.
But we have to understand that this has never been a profit making.
No, but it's also never been $54,000 in the hole according to this either. Those margins have been kept much closer together with gate revenues.
Yep.
And I think this chart really shows it too, because this is your revenue versus your expenses. And you can see, I mean, 2021, there's a very tiny gap there. You get about 13,000 or so in 2022 gap. 2023, you closed the gap quite a bit. Same thing in 24, but then you look at 25 and the bottom just fell out of it. So in terms of revenue versus expenses, it's like, it's finding what makes up that amount in a constrained budget situation, because trust me, we got everybody who has a necessity, right, in the county, and it's like, yeah, it's part of the county revenue, kids participate in it, everybody who wants to go to it goes to it, but is it necessarily a county, a function that the county is statutorily required to do? We are statutorily required to provide highway services. We are statutorily required to provide certain medical treatment and things like that and public safety. But this is one that we do as just a service, like you said, and it's finding a way to keep it closer together than a $50,000 gap. Like 10,000, I don't think anybody's necessarily balking at that. I think we're balking because you're talking about 50 grand of being upside down. And so the general fund will then have to take surplus to cover that. We'll have to take surplus to cover ambulance, MIS, anybody else who is, again, spent outside of those budgetary limits. So it's a tough conversation to be having. And I'm hoping that at least by providing these year-over-year numbers that can allow you to look at, how have you been doing in terms of, entertainment spend, how have you been doing in terms of, you mentioned maintenance. So let's see, where's our maintenance line on here? So, yeah. he just
So,
made it.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm not on the county board, but I've been on this committee for like 15 years and I've crunched these numbers and I appreciate you bringing them in tonight. But this was all raised, and no disrespect to Josh or anything, but I mean, he's the one that pushed this through, that you guys had the money. And I brought this all up. We knew this was gonna be. So now it's like it's on the chop block, but this was talked about in this meeting. And I definitely didn't approve of it because I knew you were gonna go back to it next year because you're gonna go broke this year. And now you've got to retrain the folks that come to the fair that are gonna be upset. Well, last year you let me in free and we went away from it. You know what I mean? We charged me $10, now it's free. It didn't make us any more money on
No.
Carnival, $1,100.
No.
So it did nothing that way. I guess I just struggle being a committee member because I didn't support this. I knew this was gonna happen. But I am not on the county board, but
Well,
it's,
that raises another point that I'd like to mention. You know, I appreciate all these statements and money that we have coming in and that we're looking and we're saying this is where projection where we should go. But ultimately, we understand that this is a service, at least I do. I don't know about my 20 other colleagues that I'm on with. I don't know their opinion, but I know that we've debated this before and knew the cost, and that's our decision as a county board to whether we want to go and spend this for a service for our community versus doing whatever. And so we realize that, and then when we say, yes, this is what we want to provide, this is where we ask as a county board, my other colleagues, say, hey, staff of the county, implement this and see how we can do this, and bring your concerns back to us so then we can hash it back out again.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if I can,
because I mean, you can bridge the gap by just going back charging. You're gonna have 150 grand if you have a good fare. I mean, if that balances out, revenues,
But we already know that we got a lower income area that we have.
understood. but you got
Businesses are already being hit up where you got Grant County, who's got how many businesses? How was their population in the square mileage that they represent? And get that money coming in that would offset their sponsors, especially with Sauk County and Vernon County. And look where we're at here. So
But I think we're never gonna have Scotty or Clint Black or whoever singing, right? We've tried that. You're gonna be
You got a
able
nice
to do a
person.
demo.
generous.
You're gonna be able to do the things and the kids are still gonna be able to show their stuff. You're gonna be able to eat a corn dog, the Lions, the Kiwanis, all those groups do really well out there. So I mean, I think that's important too. But I mean, to me, we need to cover our expenses too, which being the utility guy, I know it's not cheap. We have to charge to recoup that stuff to have it there all year. Cause as we've talked about, to turn those lights on, you get a demand charge every month. In the middle of winter, you get a $400 bill. You don't even run any lights just because of the way the PSE and things run. So you have to somehow recoup them costs throughout the year. And I know people struggle and it costs a lot to go to the fair, but it shows that 40-some thousand dollars come through that gate the last 2 years prior to this year that we just didn't collect.
so yeah, at that point, they were willing to pay it, but like I said, you take it away 1 year, then you will have people who will balk
But I
at it.
believe there was a resolution that was allowed that county understood by going to a free gate that they would lose out on money. I remember specifically talking about that in county board meeting. They knew that this was going to be a loss in revenue by going to that.
The hope was that it wasn't.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it was expected that there was going to be a loss. So we can't be.
That's where I struggle because these were talked about, I mean, these numbers, I've got spreadsheets all the way back because I kept them. And it was 30 to 40,000 depending on the year and Saturday being our big day. Because even like the meat animal sale, they would give us that $5 or whatever, $8 to bring their buyers in that we just let the meat animal sale not give us a check this year. They might not go to the fair or anything, but they might spend 20 grand on a cow. But the meat animal sale if he brought, Ryan Jones, let's pick on him. He brings 4 people. We got $32. We didn't do that this year. So that's part of it too, that without having.
Question, do we have any surrounding counties that do have free fairs?
So Sauk County is a free fair
But not
to go into. However, if you wanted to park on their grounds, it was $5, and then you had to pay for your grandstand. But Sauk is a free fair.
Yeah, and that's, they have good entertainment, 35, $40. I've
Plus,
heard
If you're
grandstand,
paying for parking, that's about the same thing as a gate fee.
$8, yeah.
Well, because you get more people in.
But look at where their parking is. You got public streets that you can park on. You can't really park on our roads to get there. People can walk into their fairground.
Lacrosse does have a free fair, however, they have racing all summer long, and that helps them pay for their fare.
Right.
As I say, if you could use your grounds for more activities throughout the year, that's also gonna help bring in some additional revenues, so. I think it's trying to think not just the fair, and I did see like on your fee schedule, you allow for camping and things like that. But how many people actually know that? Cause I didn't know it till I started working on your fee schedule. you know, and then I saw it in there, I was like, oh, but that's kind of nice to know in case, you know, you didn't want to.
Well,
So we've recognized this for years. What you're just saying, we've known that. And we've tried to get off-fair events. We've tried to market our place as a facility to come and host your event and pay us. We've done all that. Somewhere in the last couple of years, it all went down because the committee, we did that as a whole to look into that.
Yeah.
And
So-
There's stuff there, but
And
Yeah.
some of the thought, though, we can't charge, like, I mean, Gary takes care of State High School Rodeo. They're not getting rich, right? So, I mean, you can charge them $500 a day or whatever, and it's no different than what Riley's done. Riley he brought 6,000 people to this community, right, for his event, which the hotels fill up. So from a county standpoint, it brings in a lot of money to the area. That's not counted on this sheet. So that's where the committee.
hotel expenses.
You know, $500, whatever, $1,000 a day, you can't charge them $10,000 a day because nobody will rent the place.
And I brought our contracts in because I figured there'd be some numbers running around here tonight. Like Riley's, and us two, we fix what we need to, but I'm pretty sure I don't have. I think they put $2,100 or $2,200 in lumber on the bleachers on the other side that I helped put in. So they've already invested between last year and this year. I'm guessing $3,000.
Mhm.
Now, you know where I'm going. No other events are we should have fixed them bleachers as a county. We should have went in there and we should have fixed them. They're renting the facility from us.
Yeah.
But they went ahead and they fixed them knowing that the year before, whoever was jumping up and down on the bleachers and saying they weren't safe, and it's gonna close the races down
He's not here anymore.
Friday night. And, so I'm just saying, a lot of these groups that do come in, like the rodeo, like them guys, we do work there. I mean, can't charge $1,000 a day with the rodeo. Our expenses are almost $48,000. Right now, we have $2,100 in checkbook. And that ain't gonna get us started this year. So I mean, you can charge $1,000 a day or $500 a day. We pay $250 or $75 a day, plus utilities. You get that cranked up, you ain't gonna have nothing happening there unless you're talking Clint Black or somebody else, you know.
Well, I
They
think
bring it in.
I think that's where the committee's always thought about it more as a whole and the impact it has on Richland Center, Richland County.
And it does.
The events, you know, and definitely your event does, Riley's, this fall one, that thing was huge.
Riley's is bigger than the rodeo. but,
Yeah, it was,
You know,
monstrous.
it helps, but
Yep.
I asked about opening weekend to Marty Richards, what the income would be, what he's projecting for people coming down here, absentee people and public land hunters for hunting, what this would bring in. He said it was gonna be like a fair weekend. Exactly what he told me. So the fair brings in some revenue here just because we have the fair. Yeah.
what helps everybody. But it's not, can't go ahead and lose $50,000 every year though either.
I totally understand that.
Unless the county wants to absorb it, we just keep going the way it's going.
I don't think they want to or can.
Yeah, I think it's more not the want, but the can we, you know. So the budget gets tighter and tighter. Yeah, so I don't have, we're not gonna solve it tonight, for sure. But I did, again, just want to bring you the numbers and any way that I can help in giving numbers or advice or any other type of analysis, I am willing to do that. You know, as far as if we want to bring in entertainment and we want to do kind of a cost benefit analysis, I can do that for you as well, you know.
I got a question though, because I'm brand new here and everything. How much money does the rodeo bring to the town? To the fair?
We charge, what is it?
With the
$1,000
utilities, thousand to 1,500.
What do we charge it?
That, you know, that week in our revenue stream.
I didn't hear.
You wanna know how much that you guys pay to rent the fairgrounds?
Probably has an exact number.
The rodeo. Marty's exact words to me were.
$275 a day, we get charged for 3 days. That's what we pay, and we got the contracts and everything else here. back 3 years that she has.
Right.
Gary, do you make revenue off of the camping or not?
Yeah, to pay the bills, yeah. We get the camping. And we pay the lights, utilities. What was the bill this year?
I can,
This is where I need Mama, she does all this.
So Marty's words to me, while Gary's looking
The
it up.
lights and everything, I believe we paid 3,100. It was, 1,543 for the electric, 126 for the water. Ground rental was 825.
800.
And then we do all the cleaning and bathrooms and all that.
So Marty's words were, between hunting and the craft fairs, I'd say it's probably equal to another county fair. And I said, well, bringing in $200 for opening weekend. I think we've hashed out this budget pretty good, and I think we would warrant, and it would be nice to have you, Liana, work with us. Because I think we can improve if people in the county are willing to work with us citizens.
Yeah.
Could probably make it another close to being a pretty good fair.
Yeah, and I, just looking, this is the budget report that was for 2025 that shows the original budget. So we did originally budget the 40,000 in gate receipts. And we didn't budget for anything for grandstand, but then made the decision to kind of change that. So I think it's one of those things where we have to have the conversation of like, what amount should that be? But I do think it should be something, $10 a person, you're getting a little steep, but I think you could easily sell on 5 and free parking maybe,
I do have one question on the ambulance. Do they pay a vendor fee?
EMS,
Yeah.
they used to never, we used to not charge them to come because it was a county-run event and it was a county-owned ambulance. They just never, he waived that fee. Initially, the ambulance
Well,
did
that's
charge, but
Probably 1,500.
well, it would be a little less than that's what he charged for the stuff prior, but then there was a few years in there where he didn't charge because we were county-owned, county business.
I guess my bottom line is that
ambulance
they
on
requested the
standby,
fee.
yeah.
So that was a different event for like your stuff, that's, they
No,
charge
no,
different.
I'm talking fair only.
So for the grandstand event specifically, like the demo derby, we do need to have them there.
Yes.
So regardless, we do have to pay them to come. I will say years past, we did not pay them, but that's because they actually had a vendor space. This year, they said that they did not want that vendor space because they didn't have the staffing to staff the vendor space. So we ended up paying them.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Yeah, and this shows too, in 2021, you did pay them for standby services, $825, and then you didn't pay in 22, 23, 24 anything. But yeah, 2025 went up to $1,450. And I suppose again, it depends on what you have at your grandstand too, how dangerous. I mean, if they're throwing axes or something, you probably want somebody there. I don't know what they do, but yeah, so. Yeah, I just take the information, let's look over it, and then, yeah, let's work together. I can get you some of this other information that you requested before your next meeting. I can get you the 2026 breakdown. I'll also look into this Fund 330 for donations, just to see what's happening with that and how that fits into this picture as well. And then the breakdown of all the maintenance that you want to see, kind of the who and how much. That sound like a
We had a
plan?
capital expense plan at one point in time, whatever happened to that?
I'd have to look into it, to see. I know there wasn't anything in what I've seen so far.
Was it the big one that did in like 22, 23?
Somewhere. Yeah, we had
were
one.
you talking the improvements that we were using off from that borrowed money when we did the underground and stuff? Cause we did LED lights, we did underground for 30 grand.
Right.
But I think that.
We have
money
a start to a
went out,
capital improvement plan.
Right,
We can work off of that.
that went back when, yeah, probably 5 years ago now.
Yeah, you need a plan and you do have to update or you won't have a fairgrounds. I
Right.
mean, you know where I'm going with that too. I mean, you gotta continue being,
Yeah, we were doing stuff every year, but there was some borrowed money that we had, I don't want to say slush fund, but there was some funds that was allocated to the fairgrounds that we could use, whatever. Obviously, we did the underground conversion as cheap as we could. We did the LED lights in front of the grandstand, worked with Scotty Wallace on that.
Supposed to put in a couple water lines, and we never did that.
We didn't get to the water. We were gonna put everything on city and get rid of those wells.
Yes,
So we didn't have to worry
That was another
about
thing.
testing
Oh,
that, because we got city water at the office and it's piped out.
oh,
And then we were gonna hit those, food stands, so we didn't have to worry about a tainted well, and so that happened a day before the fair 10 years ago, and
we gotta stop talking.
yeah, I'll be quiet.
yeah. No, but that,
Too much
again,
information.
yeah, we should have a
I
3
do,
or 5 year
5:30.
plan. So anything that you know of that needs to be done, I would suggest we start generating a list of that and expected costs and things so that we can start working that into a plan. And we can also work on budgeting within the system too, that could allow us to have, plan A scenario, plan B, plan C scenario too. So Tyler allows us to take this information that we have and to build budget scenarios, and we can decide which one of those would work best for what we want. So we do have a budget for 2026. As far as I know, the fair is still planned for 2026. It's just, we need to start talking about 27 and forward to how we're gonna close this gap in funding and how we're gonna move forward with this. Just to, shrink that gap back again, not 50 grand, but maybe 10 grand, again, would be more, I don't know, palatable for the board, for a lack of a better word. So if, anybody have any other questions for me? Otherwise
Final comments, otherwise we're gonna move on.
head out.
I think we hashed it out pretty good. I let this discussion go on for quite a while too, but I think it was warranted. There's agenda item number 7 and number 8. Scott, what do you want to talk about first? There's, number 7 is horses on the fairgrounds, and number 8 is grounds rental, and you said that you need to be out of here in 5 minutes. We got 10 minutes.
I got 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah, so what would you prefer? I'm willing to work with the agenda on you.
Don't care. Just keep going down it.
Let's go horses on the fairgrounds, agenda item number 7.
Okay, so in our packet, I included the contract that I found for horses on the fairgrounds that I did not know was in existence until we had an issue arise about a month and a half, 2 months ago. Being that horses randomly moved in and none of us were told, and we were told that they weren't supposed to be there. But then it came up with, how do we charge it? What do we do with those horse stalls? And then we found out you guys actually had something a few years back. I can't find that exact thing because I don't have access to those records. However, I did find this. Kind of goes through the breakdown of prices and everything, so I wanted to go through and review it and see if you guys were okay with all those prices and if that was still an okay term. I did highlight the big things of, right now we charge $90 a month apparently, or $3 per day per stall. So that's the big thing, and if we want to keep doing that, if we don't want to do that.
It's never been $90.
you talk like, if I wanted to go there and rent a horse.
You want to, yeah.
Or I bring in a rodeo and I gotta cost me $500 extra.
I think this was more meant for boarding horses. For boarding.
That's the word I wanted to hear.
That's what my opinion is of it. I don't know what the literature says in that, but language.
I mean, there's.
I assume that was for boarding
apples to oranges
horses.
here.
For the rodeo, that stuff, you guys rent out the grounds at that point. I let you guys have it. Usually any horses that are on the grounds, we tell that they have to be off the grounds for any ground wide rentals. So it wouldn't apply for that. That would be your guys' own thing. It would be during outside of whatever's being rented season. If somebody needed to come in, then yeah.
You know, on Coggins papers, is that on that?
That is on there. They have to have all the proper paperwork. They have to have their payment due. If they don't give us anything, we will vacate them, all that fun stuff.
What year was that written?
2022 is when I found it.
Really?
Never seen it before.
It was in the computer. It's the only thing I could find in the computer. It was under all Carlos.
I've never seen it before.
Never heard of it before.
I couldn't find it anywhere that
was gonna
approved
say.
rating or anything, This is just something that I said to Lyrica, we need to work on. We don't have anything we need to work on. This is a starting point.
Yep.
I said, let's bring it to you guys and you guys start looking at what.
Are there horses out there now?
Not right now, but usually, Russ Dog will bring his in during the summers, but we did have that issue a few months ago where we had somebody just randomly kind of bring them in without contacting anybody, no paperwork was given, so we had to take care of that.
And start at night.
So even if you guys want to look at this for a future meeting, I'd just like to have something in place before, next year, or like prices for when we update the fee schedule and everything like that.
I think let's
I know
explore that
that
and get more with
I used to
ideas.
travel out west to rodeos and trail riding and everything else, so I would call Rapid City Fairgrounds. And I'd make arrangements for 8 horses to stop in and we'd pay them $10 a head for that night. They gotta get out of the trailer, and you're tired by then, so
That's what it was put together for, if somebody was
That's-
stopping.
that's.
That's what it was. drawn up
That's
for.
what that should be meant for. It shouldn't be meant for.
Long term.
Yeah,
You don't want to turn it into what we had, because it wasn't fair to the animal. I've obviously been there my whole life, and then horse never got a stall, stalls didn't get cleaned. You don't, obviously me and Gary are horse guys, and that's ridiculous. They got evicted and didn't have anywhere to go, and that's not, to me, what the fairgrounds is.
No,
That's not, we don't want to get into that.
but
And it was brought up when Doc Meyer and Four Seasons of Fun was out there. They tried to rent every stall because they had enough money. But it was, you had to be either training for a rodeo or training on the track, or you're not there. Because otherwise, you're gonna have everybody, and it's not fair to the animal.
I totally agree with the contract. If someone's coming through to rent a stall.
Yeah.
I will say, I would just like for everybody to look at the contract and look at it in detail. There is number 4 on here, it says agreement conditions. Where it does state like they have to feed and water their horse a minimum of 1 time each day. They have to come in and clean 2 to 3 times a week, all these sort of, rules and regulations that were typed up. So if that is a concern, hopefully, because it does say that if that's not followed, that we kind of make them.
Okay, I would bring that back. Let's talk about it. Thanks for
Yeah.
bringing that up, that you found that. Maybe, yeah.
I've never read it. I've never seen it before. I know we drew it up for exactly what you said. Somebody stopping by, should there be a charge? They need to give their a break. We got a nice facility.
And it should be the same thing for cattle. It should be the fairgrounds. Every agricultural person knows that if the county has a fairgrounds and they need to stop, they're gonna make arrangements. I did. It ain't rocket science.
Did we have somebody stop and have their cattle there?
We did,
overnight?
them show cattle were going out east.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's been a couple of years.
They were out in the pen. They actually let them exercise. They were like Red Angus or some fancy thing,
Okay.
but they used the horse
Yeah.
corral and
That's what it's
exercise.
there for.
They were fancy show cattle and they were
Yeah.
coming through.
They need to stop for the night.
Okay, we're gonna move on to agenda item number 8, Crowns Rentals.
So the other thing that we've been working on is going through and redoing our rental contract, because it's 5 pages of just a lot of, random stuff that we were able to condense down into 1 page. And then also, I know we've talked about in the meetings previously that we wanted to do more of an application thing to bring in more information on our end, so that, I can approve things without having a billion questions going around. So we, along with this, we ended up redoing the rental rates for the grounds. We kept like the main rates the same, but I fixed the winter storage because the last time it was typed up at $9 per whatever foot. We also brought back, based off of prior suggestion, the bathroom supplies and charging for that stuff based off of rolls and everything they go through. Otherwise, everything is basically the same. I did increase the conference room because it was at $50 a day, and we do use that a lot, and so far everybody that I've talked to has not been against that. And then also, I do still have camping on here, because I know that for the fair, we have camping, so going based off of that.
And I do have an old contract from Carla. Use of grounds, utilities, water, toilet paper, white paper towels, soap. This was our contract.
Mhm.
Ken has been cleaning bathrooms. She has feet, she just marked it down. $31 minimum for a small group pays for toiletries. You get over that certain amount, which I don't know what it is, you go from $50. And it's very simple to do. But it's not anymore. It hasn't been. 30, 40 bucks.
Anyways, along with this, I will say that for the contract details, there were a few additions that we did make. Just to kind of try to cover our end as well, because realistically, I didn't want to increase any of the rental rates because we are trying to give back. But we also had to be smart about if we do have Brian coming in overtime, if we have Randy Nelson coming in overtime. So we did do a kind of like maintenance staff fee where if, you know, they are using any of our highway maintenance that we are paying, then we're going to do an hourly rate on that, just to kind of cover that end on it. Otherwise, we require that they bring in all their own staff for their own events. We also did include that if they don't pay, because I know we had an issue with this in years past, within a 14-day period of receiving their bill, that they may be forfeiting their security deposit. Because I know last year, we have them every year, but last year I waited 6 months to receive a payment from Gospel to Haiti. So I'm just trying to eliminate that stuff as well and kind of just keep everybody a bit more liable. These groups that are coming onto the fairgrounds should understand that, you know, they have responsibilities as well. I will say the other thing that just in basic expectation that we were looking at is the whole cleaning aspect, is that we want to make sure that the fairgrounds are clean beforehand. We will take care of that, whether it's me, Brian, somebody will take care of making sure everything is tip-top shape beforehand. And if things are not left to what they were beforehand, then we will take that out of the security deposit.
Tricia?
Was your suggestion, instead of having like the $3 per roll of toilet paper, doing a flat rate of like 30 bucks, 50 bucks?
I'd do a minimum.
Just do a minimum?
I would.
What do you think?
The minimum was, well, she actually had a unit price of 208, but she had 3120. I mean, however you want to do it. To me, I would say like the tractor folks, Ken does the bathroom there, experiment a little bit and see what's used. I mean, she has records, but 50 bucks for your toiletries. It should cover everything for a small group. Riley's and the fair, I mean, you're talking hundreds for a couple $100 for toilet paper and stuff. Stuff ain't cheap anymore.
No.
And, but I don't know if Ken kept track for Riley's or, I know she didn't for the fair, because it's the fair. But yeah, you can charge by the roll, doesn't matter to me, it's all the same.
That was just what I found on the contract from 2022,
We
the
don't-
last time I saw it take
We don't
up.
have, the rodeo doesn't hardly use the bathroom much, other than the shower, everybody has their own living quarters and their campers.
There's some stuff from 2022, I think, where he did some fee raises to appease what the county board wanted to do as far as being autonomous. That's where that came in too. How could we be autonomous? And so we had to raise those fees in order to be like that. So I think what you're seeing on some of that was we come up with that.
Because that's when they were selling it. So Carla put together a sheet and they were all crazy inflated prices,
We were
but it was just a way. to
unreasonable.
Show we can rent it out on just like a budget sheet. If we triple everything, we might be able to sustain, so you don't sell us, because obviously she was adamant about not losing the fair. And that's where a lot of the camping, all these rates were, I'm sure you found.
I will say, when I was looking for these documents, I ended up finding a lot of her research that she got from other county fairs, and these are still lower rates than every other county fair around.
I know this already, because I have.
Sorry, that was just its own thing that I just
Yeah.
found.
I mean, I don't care. I could care less. It's not my gig. I just saying that's where a lot of those rates come from, because they were selling the county parks, they were selling the fairgrounds. It was Clint, he was selling everything. I gotta go build a fire station, so I'm gonna have to leave. You can keep doing your meeting, right? If I leave.
Yep.
I don't mess it up.
4 of us here.
It's enough. I don't think there's anything else down there.
So you're looking for approval from this fee schedule right now to be presented to executive and finance? Yes?
So it's gonna be $500 a day for any of that.
That's what we've had it at for the last, since I started.
So does the rodeo get a different rate?
The rodeo didn't necessarily get a different rate, that's for the bathroom cleaning.
And I gotta,
Where Kendall was cleaning the bathroom, so we took $250 off.
Okay.
Which is where in this contract, we kind of have redone that, because we do kind of have, if you go to a hotel,
I'll say
you are
this.
expected to have
Read
everything.
this real quick,
in
it's
one
just
place.
a little blurb. Wisconsin High School rodeo attachment of the rental contract. Tenant shall pay the following charges billable after the event, net 30 days. Grounds rent of $275 per day at 3 days. Bathroom cleaning charges $250 will be waived on the invoice for previous cleaning agreement between the fair committee and Kendall Deaver. Utility, sewer, water charges will be billed out with a rental charge after the event. Tenant shall remove all the trash from the property within 4 days of the event. All vendor property shall be removed from the property within 4 days of the event. Blah, blah, blah. So I mean,
Yes, I will say for
it goes
the,
500 versus
the rental rate for that,
275. This year's too late to change it.
well, I will say I did talk to Kendall about that when she came in to sign the contract, because she brings all of her documents.
Well, no, we need to talk about it. We're the fair committee if you're gonna charge
Well, yes,
$500
but-
a day.
The reason for that, we've been charging $500 a day for all the other groups. Every other group, we've charged that much. That
Well, the
fee came
Lions, you don't pay 500 for the Lions using. The
in, this year they did.
Oh, they
We've
did?
been doing that for because that's what it says, and when I was hired on, we made the agreement that it wasn't about who you knew, everybody had to be charged the same amount. Because they're all doing the same thing, and it is the entire grounds that you guys are renting. The thing is that we had the discussion about the bill this year. The big thing was that bathroom rate, otherwise there was no issues brought up. It was the bathroom rate being that she was doing all the cleaning for the bathroom, which she did come in beforehand and she put it all together, so that was fine. Which, like I said, this year, going forward, we are going to make sure that everything is put together and cleaned beforehand, and like when you check in somewhere, you rent a hotel room or anything like that, you are expected to leave it in a good standing condition. If it's a disaster, they charge you extra on a credit card. It's kind of gonna be the same thing where we will take it out of the security deposit if it's not left in the same manner that we gave it to you.
You can make an amendment,
Huh?
you can make an amendment if you wanted to, or propose one.
We get by the rodeo this year, but $500 to $1,500 versus what we pay now.
Pretty sure this year you guys paid about
Right here.
$12 for the,
They can find another place for it, I guess, because they can't afford it. We can't, we make bare minimum now, just, I mean, like I say, our expenses are about 50 grand.
So just for clarification, you're saying the rental fee for the rodeo has always been 500, but you've knocked off 225 for the bathroom cleaning. But the bathroom cleaning charge is now 500.
well, we knocked off for that group because Kendra cleaned it.
Yeah.
But whenever Kendra comes to clean any other group, we pay her. So
She's
realistically,
charged for the fair. Wheels of Time, they pay her the $250. Of course, the rodeo, she does it for free. Wheels of Time, she does it for a donation to try to keep them going, because they have a lot of expenses. But there's nothing mentioned in our contract at all about a $500 deal. This is just highlighted.
that was the contract that was typed up before I was hired back 3 years ago, which Kendra did explain to me, and I have a copy of that too.
Oh, okay.
And when she came in, me and her did discuss this 2 years ago when I was first hired, and she was like, yep, I understand, we will do that, and she was perfectly okay with that rate. So this is the second year that you guys have been charged that $500 a day.
Well, I just need to know what our rent is. I got a lot of data, but I just want to know, is it gonna be 500 a day, or
That's what we've been doing, but it's only for a rental day that you guys are running the event.
this is not what I'm asking, is it 275 a day, or is it gonna be 500 a day?
I think that's what he's saying, is how much you pay
It's
for,
$500 for the entire ground rentals.
right,
But that's
a
what
day.
it has been for 2 years. It's
Right.
not just changing right now on this sheet.
But with
I
them,
understand that.
if they were charged that, then did you deduct the $225 a day for
The bathroom cleaning.
bathroom cleaning? So
Yes.
$225 a day was taken off. Will it be done again? Does
That was what we were looking at not doing, but it wasn't $225 a day. It was a $250 overall fee that we took off,
Oh, okay.
not a day. It was an overall.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
It was just one, because last year they paid $12.50 instead of 15. There was no.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at.
We have the started on Monday and we're out of there Tuesday. Get charged for the event. So I mean, it's big. You might not think $250 is not much money a day, but it is to us.
So the other big thing is like when you said that she, for the fair, we pay her. The Wheels of Time gives her a donation, but she does it for free for you guys. So at that point, my question is, why are we taking off the fee? When she's just not getting paid?
Because
Because that's
if
a
you,
$500 loss on
because
her.
if you had to pay for it, that's what you'd have to pay.
Who would clean the bathrooms if she didn't do it?
Well, they
Did
hired.
we get Randy?
Well, that's just the
Brian?
groups, that's what the group's doing. So like when the Wheels of Time pay her, they're paying her to do it for them.
Who would, if you
So it's
got
the
250 off, 275 off the rodeo?
It's the group's responsibility to make sure that the bathrooms are back to the way they were.
The bathroom, it's in this paperwork somewhere, but if you want to get a hold of Kenda, it does say that we're exempt from the bathroom because we're cleaning. We're exempt from hauling manure because I do it, just like I haul all the manure for the fair. I mean, that's all, my own fuel, tractor, I borrow a spreader. I donate all that time, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. It's done. But I'm just saying, for a small group, which is a large group statewide, it's a lot smaller. Like I say, we got like $2,100 in our checkbook right now. It's hard making it. And then you double the rent, which would be double to us. We'll get through this year, but probably won't be another one.
And they're volunteering their time to clean the bathrooms and all that manure, where if they did not do that,
During
That's
the
another
fair,
thing.
that's another whole different
That's
thing where
another thing. I think
if that's
to bring
something
up.
that we want to make that deal, I would prefer to have that deal be on paper still. So that when somebody else from the Wheels of Time saying, hey, we don't clean our bathrooms, why, or we do clean our bathrooms, why aren't you taking that fee off for us?
No, that's separate.
do you give them an option to do that?
Can you what?
Actually, it was in the contract before, we had to put it like in specific writing into there. It was on the fee schedule that we had a bathroom cleaning fee.
Who cleaned that?
And you know,
We would always hire.
You ever look up the manure cleaning fee?
I never found that on there.
$50.
Was that when they paid, what's his name?
Oh, Stanley?
Studley? Yeah, he told me
So,
about that one.
$50. I could just leave the fairgrounds folks on Monday, leave everything there, and I'd gladly pay you $50. But that's, you know what I'm saying?
So it almost sounds like the thought is because of the time you guys donate to the fairgrounds, you're asking that that time be taken off rent.
So, but then my question is that something we can put into your guys' specific contract and write it separately than everything else? Because then we still have it on paper,
But it needs to be in that contract.
rather than for like an overall, like everybody contract.
Everybody's contract, bathroom deduction $250, add $250 if you don't do it. Plus supplies. I mean, it's all, you got.
Well, yeah, so we add the $250 if they don't clean it.
Right.
But if it's clean, then we don't deduct it.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what this is saying. Right now, we deduct the fee for you, the rodeo, because you guys clean it.
And like, yeah, but it should be a straight fee. But if I want to find somebody to clean the bathrooms, I shouldn't be charged your $250.
No, that would be you guys paying them though. That wouldn't be us paying them.
You're out of it, yeah.
Yeah, right now we are currently kind of paying the rodeo by deducting that fee. Because you guys aren't necessarily paying that fee, we are still deducting that fee on our end. I mean, you guys can amend this if you want, it is,
Is there any
Your guys-
amendments to those contracts and those fees, I guess? Not a motion would be appropriate to accept it, have it forwarded on. And then if you guys did think later that something was up, you could come to finance personnel or write an email expressing those concerns and maybe have that possibly changed.
But what the hope was when I talked with Lyrica was to get these, the goal is always to look at the fee schedule once a year. I know that started last year. We're looking at taking it to full county board next week. That's why we wanted to get this meeting in before the full county board. If there are things that you guys recommend to be adjusted, where it could even just be that you guys approve this as is and give Lyrica the ability to have some flexibility in entering into contracts if there is, time, supplies, energy donated to the fairgrounds. Because I think you guys do donate a lot of time to the fairgrounds. And so if this committee was comfortable with something like that,
And that's something that I can make that deal separately, but I also want things to be on an even playing ground. So like when we do Hub City, we still charge them $500 a day. And if they clean their bathrooms, are we deducting for them too?
You said you didn't see anything on the door handling. This is a 2024 invoice. North self-hauling, $50.
From 2024.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever putting that on there, because I don't remember ever seeing it unless Kendra specifically messaged me about it, because she's done that in the past.
This didn't come from us, this came from you. The check was written on 6/24/24, check number blah, blah, blah. So this was last year's check of $2,470.80.
so you got billed for manure hauling last year?
No.
No.
It's just on there. My point is, for $50, I'd leave a mess. Let you clean it,
She took it off because there's this,
but I mean, $50 is a squat.
right.
I'd give you $50 to take care of it.
But it might not have been in the computer, that may have been in the previous documents that she gave me.
We need a motion to move this on to executive finance, I think.
It won't go to executive finance, it'll go straight to full county board, because we don't have an executive and finance between now and then.
Okay,
Can we do it with her being able to adjust it like it should be done?
you put that in the motion, yeah?
I move that we do that. I mean,
So we got a motion by Sandy to approve our fee schedule and have the ability for Lyrica to adjust it as needed for labor, in return for labor costs. Sound right? Alright. And if there is a dispute to come back to the fair committee or the county administrator to be dealt with. We need a second. Seconded by Randy Scootover. Is there any further discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. So are we on the agenda item number 9, convention?
So we do have the convention coming up, which I know I discussed at the last meeting. I know that for sure Sandy and I are going. I'm not sure if you are, Carrie. But
When is it?
it's the second week of January, third week of January. It's like the 11th through the 15th or something like that.
later, isn't it?
It's later than it was last year. Last year was the 8th through the 12th.
Okay. I was-
So it's the week following that.
I saw Wisconsin Dells.
Chula Vista.
I will say when we go, there are quite a few different fairs from all over the state that go. If there's anything specific that you guys want us to look into, let me know. I know that I already want to look into gate fees and talk to other groups about that and how they're doing that. And covering that, storage fees, things like that. Because this year we did go down in storage fees because of the dates that we had it, but we did save on the overtime. So like managing that kind of stuff and what we want to do there. I can research that with other groups. If there's anything else you want me to look, whether it's entertainment or just how other fairs handle things, let me know and I will talk to them.
Any comments? No? All right, we'll move on. When does registration fees need to be in?
Registration fees. So early fees have already been done, but they have to be done, I believe, by December 15th. You can book a room though up until that point.
Same room. It says this one room.
Agenda item number 10 is your coordinators update.
So for recent things, we've been obviously redoing the contract and making it more, unanimous for everybody. I've been officially starting to look at vendor options. I haven't necessarily sent out any contracts, but I've been reaching out to new groups to try to pull them in now and get, us on their schedule and on their mind before it gets too late into the year and they're already booked. And I have had a bit of interest already with that. So I will be able to reach out later and hopefully get more vendors this year. One of the things that I would like to do is going through the office, and if you guys have been in there recently, you know that there is that little corner in the corner of the room that is just filled with a bunch of storage stuff that I have not touched once since being here. And it's not like files or anything, it's like a broken desk that has one drawer missing and file cabinets that I don't think I've ever used. So I would like to look through going through and finding a way to get rid of that and cleaning up the office a bit more and giving us more room to put more stuff that we do need. So, but I want your guys' permission to do that before I start just, getting rid of an empty file cabinet.
Cohort.
Okay, yeah. I believe that's all I have.
There's no files or anything.
No, I have toilet paper in there.
Oh, that's right.
Take the hamburger out of the freezer as long as you're cleaning.
Didn't that go out? Hasn't that gone out yet? I thought we threw that out.
I was gonna take it for the coyotes, but I don't know if anybody did.
I thought we cleared that out.
Okay,
The freezer
There
is
was a
still
time,
plugged
but
in.
I could be wrong. I thought we took it
Not
out.
everything, the freezer's still plugged in.
I don't think anybody wants to eat them.
So let's, about agenda item number 11 is maintenance of the grounds.
So I did talk to Josh today, and he says that as of now, everything is done for maintenance and grounds for the rest of the season.
Did talk with Brian today, and he did say that the water had been shut off after the Hub City drags, but the lines weren't blown out, so there were some lines that froze. So let's take a look at them in the spring and figure out where they're at or what needs to be done. But I think you guys mentioned two of those lines are pretty old. I think they've been there a long time.
They'll figure out when it starts.
On that note,
Water on.
that also means that for 2026.
What do we take in for camping or storage? I mean?
Storage, we took about $9,000.
Pardon?
9,000. Last year we had about 11,000, almost 12,000. This year was 9,000, which I did hear not too many complaints, but some complaints about it being during the weekdays this year. But a lot of the people that I was able to talk to about that personally with understood after we had the conversation that, we can't necessarily afford the overtime anymore. And we did spend a lot less on the staffing that we had, so. Balanced out, I'm pretty sure, if not better.
Anything else? Future agenda items?
So I have review budget for 2026, discuss resolution 2558, which is the free fairgrounds. Capital improvement plan, I'll get that to you. Fund 330, and then the stall use agreement.
Yeah, I was going to say, or stalls, I know that one.
You
should say
33. That's we
Plus now we have the.
These for the next meeting.
The date of the next meeting would be, I'm guessing, do we just want to do the January one since the end of December would be our next one? It'd just be skipping one meeting?
Well, the 12th would be during fair convention, and I think I'm gonna go to that, so I won't be around. I think Sandy will probably be there, and you will, right? So that's the 5th. I have to work on the 5th and the 6th of January. I have the 7th, 8th, and 9th off.
So my question is, do we want to have a meeting before the convention, or do we want to just do our follow-up meeting after the convention?
I would think afterward.
So that would be the 21st.
I'd rather have a meeting after. I'm not going anyway, I never would, but at least you can find out what you guys go figure out.
Yeah.
If what we got for future agenda items, does that need to be forwarded on to the county board then? Because I think that would be after county board would meet.
Nothing would have to go that soon. I mean, some of it will have to go on the county board most likely,
Yeah.
but I think we could do it in February.
So that would also be a lot of stuff that we could look up with the free dates, talking to other fairs and see what they do before we make a decision.
Yeah. Probably shoot for like the 19th through the 21st or something. It's a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I think we can get a date refined down closer. You like Mondays or Wednesdays? It used to always be on Wednesdays, but
I work here every Monday and Wednesday, either way, I'm in the area.
Should we just wait? You call later on in the month of January then?
It's up to you, however you guys want to do it. If you want to decide on the date now, we can. Otherwise, as long as I have at least a week's notice, I can send out an agenda.
19th, I have a leaders meeting, so I won't be able to attend.
Well, 21,
yeah, we can do the 21st.
21st was for you,
Yeah,
21st at 4:30.
yeah,
4:30 or 5?
4 or 5, somewhere in there. I just got a meeting at 7 o'clock, so,
Oh,
but I've always had that meeting at seven
Yeah.
o'clock. League fair and went straight to that, so. All right. So then we have a motion for adjournment. Five. The reason why we bumped it up to 4:30 today is because I have a meeting or dinner at 6 o'clock. Scott and I both did, so.
keep going.
Yep.
Dinner meeting?
Well, it's a meeting and then we have a dinner afterwards. It's our state feed that tonight. So,
I so moved.
We better let you get them.
so motion by Sandy, seconded by Randy. All those in favor say aye.
Yep.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. I guess I'm off for that 11th through the 15th, so I'll go to that.
Sounds good.
I think I'll go up
Needless to
north.
say, I did bring it up with Mary and then through Crawford as well, that if you guys wanted to talk, now that it's not weird, that would be probably the best time to do it, so up to you guys as well,
Why do we need to talk to her?
just to go over the last year. If you guys want to,